I'm benign, I am caring, and I'm loving all my friends. But the moment that you talking, there's no room to make amends. I be killing all the women and the children and the men. Call me John cause I make peace and it sorta just makes sense. I be making many millions and I'll spend them in a day. Got the furnace in the ceiling, yet I'm turning in my grave. Not the money but the feeling of my happiness is strange. And I'm turning to the killing just so y'all can feel my pain.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox Tuned In. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. With that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Good was Keentoh.
Mob Rule.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
Oh, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Oh, yeah.
And welcome back, both of you. It's cool to have two return guests on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're sitting down, we're talking about your new album, Explosive with Disorder. And I gotta tell you, having listened to it a handful of times now, and you know, by the time this comes out, everybody else will as well. Big fan. Super solid. I really love what y'all put together. Now everybody already heard the opening track. It's called Pain, and it's the first track off the new album. And just right from the get, you guys did not waste any time. You just got right into it. The beat comes in super tough from the start. And I mean, right away, I knew it was a Mob Rule beat. Like, I'm already familiar with your sound. And the second I heard it, I was like, yep, I know how this was put together.
Yeah, it's super aggressive, you know? I don't know. I mean, I can do a little bit of everything, but that one in particular is aggressive.
Came together perfect, too, you know, with both of our styles type deal.
Yep.
Very much so.
A very good blend.
And it's, I mean, a very impactful first track, too, you know?
Oh, for sure. It smacks you across the face.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Keentoh, you came in tough as fuck on that one. Like, you were not holding back. You just brought it.
I was talking hella shit, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what that track is. And then that's kind of why we decided to be that track number one, you know?
Yeah.
I was just like, let's keep it in your face and let's give people a reason to continue listening.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, that was going to be the first question anyways.
Yeah.
What made you choose that as the first one?
That, and then also Mob Rules, the flow of the beats, you know what I mean? That had a lot to do with it because this was a collaborative effort. It wasn't just, you know, like, it's not like, oh, here's some beats and then just write. And then no.
We sat there and like wrote together and bounced ideas.
Sessions, yeah. And then shouts out John from Ronald Records. He was a part of it. He came on board a little later, but he had a lot to do with that too. The structure and everything, especially with when we started recording the whole album and stuff.
Hell yeah.
It came together clean. That first track is impactful, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah.
And it sparked from a real conversation about, you know, stuff locally in the scene. And we were just like talking, you know, just being friends. And I'm like, why don't we write about this shit?
Yeah.
So,
and that's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history, baby.
Well, hey, the rest of the album. So
Facts.
Let's dive on into the next track. This one's called It's a Murder.
Capsize, I'ma flip to fly by with the milli cosign. I'ma trip your whole side. It's a murder. Another day, another dollar, got a quarter. And they killing all my people at the border. And I'm dying for my daughter to support her.
All right, and we're back. Now, just leading into it on right from the jump, the bass in that track in particular, big fan. Now, the bass in the whole album is phenomenal. The mix is really tight, and the actual beats themselves are, obviously. But that one in particular, I think, really just kind of hit a spot for me just because I am a bass player.
Yeah.
And it just really had something. I know you are as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Definitely kind of a
bass player to bass player. Appreciate that.
very much so.
Leave me out of this, bro.
But then just even more so, on your delivery, you kept the kind of the chilly vibes with that one. Like you kind of led in from the first one to the next one, but it wasn't the same delivery. You still very early on, you're just kind of showing your chops and you're bringing a different feel, even if it is kind of the same like toughness as the first track.
Yeah. A lot has to do with what I was actually saying in that song, because I think that was more personalized to my experience as far as being who I am and also being a dad,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I trust you. I don't know personally.
Yeah. There's like one line about me being a dad, but it's probably the most significant line to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then it kind of makes sense out of the rest. For the rest of the song, makes more sense knowing like that's where his chip comes from.
Gotcha.
But again, you gotta credit the beat too. Because I think without that energy being there from Mob, like the way you compose that shit, I don't think these ideas come, I don't think this energy comes.
Totally. And there's something to be said when you actually like take the time to build an entire album with one person who is like making the beats in real time to the album versus just buying them from different places. Now, not that there's anything wrong with buying beats on the internet, but like when you actually take the time to like design a whole album with a sound with the same person from the ground up, I think it brings something really special.
That's the whole joy. I mean, I love doing that with artists. Like
that's what's special about this album though, because we developed like our friendship and shit. We're cool and like
we knew each other through homies, but like we're like friends now. We hang out.
Yeah,
we fucking eat food. We fucking go hang out. Whatever. Like
so it's been a. I'm not sure if we touched up on this, but like the first half of that album, what really started about two years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yep.
Gotcha.
And then the second half was kind of like in this last year. Once we started dialing it in, all right, we're gonna come with an album.
Hell yeah.
But I think that you can't really notice it because we kind of like mix everything in the album.
Yeah.
But, like I guess if you're Mob and me, like like man, this is where like. There's a different synergy,
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Synergy is a good word for it. There's definitely like a good like semibiotic relationship that like puts it together. And also, since we're kind of on the topic of lyrics, I did notice this song had the name of the album in it.
Oh yeah.
And that rolls into the question, how'd y'all pick the name?
It all came in the studio session we had when we were recording the whole album.
Yeah, so we had all the songs done. We were going over ideas. We had an idea for the album art, which is a car on fire, and that
brought to you by Space Case.
By Space Case
or PDX.
Yep,
he's a dope artist, local artist.
He's dope as fuck. And so we had all the songs. We're working on the order, and then we finished the order of how we wanted the tracks. And John, actually from Ronald, who was in the session, he was like, what about Explosive with Disorder? Because we were listening to the track back, and he's like, dude, that could be it right there. And it would go with the art, it would go with the theme,
That's kind of what,
we were just all like, oh yeah, instantly everyone was like, yeah, that's it. Like, it makes
immediately,
sense. Yeah.
Because to an extent, that's kind of what the album is too,
Yeah.
It's just like, it's explosive with disorder.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too that you guys had the album art before the name.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. Well, that has a lot to do with how dope Space Case homie is.
We just saw that, and we're like, John has, so it was a print, like it was a print, and John had it in his house, and he was showing me. I was like, dude, this is dope, and it would like John was like, and I were talking, it would fit, it would just work. Why not? Why don't we ask him if we can use it?
And it turned out to be one of the coolest things ever because that holding the vinyl with that Keentoh and Mob Rule. It looks great.
Definitely super
great.
special.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, well then let's go ahead and let's move on into the next track. This one's called Brown Pride.
Todo de repente, pero nunca me lo dicen de mi frente, porque todos enemigos son tu gente. If it's hands on deck, then I won't fight. Got a bigger thing to worry about, it's all night. I strike when the time right and the sunshine.
All right, and we're back. Now, that track was definitely a powerful track. Like I mean, you could just kind of feel it in the delivery, but also it was a bit of a vibe. Like it definitely had a feel. The bells in particular, that's just a sound that always like kind of pleases my ears.
That's
and
really sonically a great sound.
Yeah. And then it was a little more melodic. It was a little more loose. But also it was still very somber. Like it wasn't like you were just like, all right, it's time to turn up. And so for like being at that point in the album, because it's still like, end of the first quarter, if you don't do math, it kind of gave something a little bit different early on to just continue the fact that you were just out here shaking it up with every track. And I really appreciated it. And also I liked how the vocals and the beat line up in a really cool way. And I think it's just kind of a testament to what you guys were saying before about how you built it from the ground up together. There was this unity in that track that just you can't just make up from hearing it a couple times. You have to like really know it from the start.
I'm glad you said that, because that's actually, so that song was written about 2 years ago, or maybe a little bit longer, honestly, if we're being real, because that song came about right around when we started linking up.
Right after that first conversation.
Yeah. And when we had that conversation, when I was here last time, I mentioned something about how Mob asked me, like, you do music, but you just do music, like feel good music or whatever, and I was just making music because I knew I could make it, or I thought, at least. I don't know if it was good or whatever. But then he asked me, he said, "Oh, you're talking about your experience, That was kind of like the first track that I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not doing it very often, So that track came from that, through an experience that I was going through at the time too. Long story short, somebody was trying to exploit my culture for their gains, being Mexican and stuff. So that's kind of the why I ended up doing that song. Is personal to me, one of my favorites. It means a lot to me. I've performed it plenty of times. Like I said, we wrote this song a long time ago.
A while ago.
And it's a fire song, and especially with that's my favorite beat on the whole thing. But there's a lot to pick from though, because they're all pretty great.
Yeah. I mean, I love that beat too. It's just came together so well, and lyrically, it's probably also one. I mean, I know, like the first track is one of my favorites just because of the aggressiveness of it, but the genuineness behind that track, and just knowing. I mean, also I know you, so just real the way you explain your experience as being a Mexican first generation in America and in song form, like that's not an experience that I would ever know as a white guy, in America, like that's true. Not my experience, but
I think that's why. I think that's why that song hits home. Even not just for me, but like you said, like even if you can't relate, I guess, whatever. Yeah, you can understand.
But you can understand. It gives you perspective. That's what I like about it. Like it's not. There's certain, and that's not the only song on the album that's like that. Like,
no, not at all.
You're getting real deal perspective, and that's all you can ever ask from an artist is to genuinely be who they are, and you've done that on every track on this album.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Now I'm gonna let you guys do the wrap up instead of me. All right, but now getting back to the questions, and we're just gonna get a technical one out of the way just early on. Was it all like recorded, mixed, and mastered in the same place?
Yes, it was. It was recorded at 11 Studios. Yep. Shouts out that food.
Shout out Zach.
Yeah, he did a great job. He killed the production, so he made it sound good.
Yeah, he did a great job engineering.
Yeah, it was about we had 3 sessions, I believe, 3-4 hour sessions, and we cranked that baby out.
So we did do like demo versions before.
Yeah, we were prepped.
Well, Get ready.
Yeah.
Ready
for time. You got to show up and not be like, hey, I have words.
Cool thing about that though, having Mob and John there, not a lot of the tracks, but like maybe 3 or 4 songs completely became something else.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about from the drafts, and And I mean, they're a lot better. They came out way better, you know, having the input.
Yeah, different ideas.
Yeah. It's made it magical, you know.
A collaborative effort. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a small think tank of people happening in real time.
Not at all. A lot of these songs actually, Mob helped me write too, you know. Even if it was like, hey, I'm stuck in, you know, what's a transitional word, you know? Even if it was that, you know?
Or like just taking his concept and running with it.
Yeah.
You know, like,
That's why, you know, and I don't have no issue admitting to that, you know?
No.
Because again, the whole aspect of understanding what I'm talking about and kind of seeing like, oh, you're putting perspective into it. I can kind of put myself at least in one shoe, not in my shoes, but at least, you know, I can kind of, you know, so that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And not only that, I think it made it make more sense, if you will.
No, totally. Well, that, you know, I mean, you were familiar with what he was doing. You were familiar with what he was doing.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, and at the end of the day, I mean, you look at some of the biggest tracks in the world and there's like 18,000 people credited.
Yeah.
You know, having a hand in making it. So asking somebody in the room for just a little bit of input in real time, that's just the way music's made.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not uncommon in general. But I think if the end result is something you enjoy more, that's really all that it comes down to in the end.
It's the product.
I mean, clearly, you guys nailed it in that respect because it is just a solid album from bell to buzzer.
Okay.
Yeah.
say that.
But with that being said, let's go ahead and roll on into the next track. This one's called Half y Medio.
Half y medio. It's ironic, tengo miedo when I vomit. Es un radio, I'm transmitting longitud de toda onda. It's symbolic to the angel que me miran sobre mí. I've been telling all the truth and I've been naked sobre ti. Pero tengo como mi razón.
All right, we're back. Now, before the break, I forgot to say we were going to skip the fourth track and jump into the fifth one. So there was one that happened in between on the album, but I'll mention that a little bit later. Getting into this track, this one was rad.
Yeah.
This one was rad. Like, honestly, you know, I only understood about half of it because I don't speak Spanish.
Half y medio, baby.
The way the lyrics were delivered, like, it still made sense. You know what I mean? Like, there was still kind of an easy way to kind of attach into it. And the point was definitely made clearly. And your ability to go in and out of each language seamlessly, like just the fact that you kept the musicality 100%, I think really it's impressive. Like, it's, you know, something I definitely can't do for sure, but just on a musical level. And I'm sorry I don't have more notes on the beat on that particular track, but I just, at this point, all your beats are good, man. I say it in 1,000 different ways. You're just crushing it from start to finish on these.
Every time
Every time. So like, I wish I had more, but I'm going to kind of open it up to you guys to share on this track.
I mean, the beat is just more syncopated. That's one of the more like upbeat beat. When I go from super syncopated beat to like there's two different samples I'm fucking with, and it kind of bounces back and forth, two different vibes, and then he catches that vibe and runs with it. Like, it kind of like, I feel like the beat is actually quintessential to that track because that's what made the flow, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, the beat, it's what determined the flow. The only thing that I added to that, I guess, is, I mean, I gotta call it how it is. I was just trying to show off a little bit with the way I wrote it, because there's bilingual music, which is, you know, transitional between bars or even just like 8 bars or bar after bar. But this, I made it a point to switch from English to Spanish or Spanish to English in the middle of one single bar.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That was the thing I noticed the whole time.
And it wasn't changing up at all, you know?
No.
It was, I was saying, the bar will make sense fully English, fully Spanish. I wasn't, it's just like, let me do this, you know?
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like the fact that you're able to just kind of glide in and out of each language and not lose a single step.
Yeah.
Like, and again, it almost made it to where, like, even though I didn't know what you were saying, the context of the part before it or the part after, like, there was ways to kind of lead into where it's like, I could get it. But the fact that you were able to do it to where it just sounded like a flawless like bar the entire time, that is just,
man.
The effort was not only noticed, it was really appreciated. Like,
dude.
I thought it was really cool because I don't quite hear that kind of delivery super often.
And that's kind of, again, that one had intention, you know? There was intention behind writing it like that. You know? It wasn't just like the idea. Don't get me wrong. Like you were saying, it was just synchronized with the beat and caused the flow, you know?
Yeah, but that was you, dude.
But the intention behind that was like, no, this is like, let me show the one thing that I got over most, you know. I mean, and now I'll bite that bullet if I gotta, you know. I don't got a problem admitting that I was trying to show off a little bit with that track.
Yeah, I mean that's all right. You're allowed to flex a little bit. It's your music.
I was trying to show off with that beat.
Again, you did that with every track on the album.
That's what I'm saying though, but that's why it worked out.
I just remember when I was making that beat, I was like, oh, I got the loop. Here's the loop, and I was like, you know, going through my sample chops. I'm like, wait, what if I did this for a little bit and then I switched to this? You know, like I don't know.
And it was money, dude.
I was pretty stoked.
Hell yeah. Now, I guess this is still another technical question, like I'd said before, but this one's more on a you guys level, more in the sauce, so to speak. Now, I know, like I said, you made the beats for the album, you made the words over the beats you made, but like in the crafting process, was it often like you two in the room together for the totality of each part? Did you like have an idea that you would bring to him and he would build off of and you would build off of his addition? How did you go from like the one-on-one level to each other?
We kind of did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not everything, you know, not everything was in person, but sometimes there was a couple tracks I don't really remember specifically which ones. But you remember at one point, like I made a beat and I was like, yo, like
this is
you need to write over this one. Yeah. And there was intention. We're talking about intention, right? Like it's just like I knew that you could make something to this, and then he would do a demo, and then sometimes you get like a 16 done or a hook, 16 and a hook, and then we would elaborate more in person, and then we would do drops or like little specific things to the beat to add flavor to it, or
a couple songs that didn't make it to the album.
Yeah
that we straight up like co-writ, that we wrote together type deal. And the only reason why I didn't make it to the album is because we just thought it didn't go with the vibe of the rest of the songs.
What? Not because you want to do a deluxe album in 6 months?
Putting ideas in, bro. Don't be putting ideas in.
Yeah, no, we were just like, I was just like sonically like, yeah, they weren't bad tracks.
They weren't, not at all.
But they just didn't have the same like vibe as like how it seamlessly works.
And we ran into that with like 3 or 4 songs, I believe.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, yeah, we did. In a few songs I remember writing like a hook and then I go finish it off,
Okay.
I fill it in. But like most of them, the ones that have hooks and stuff, we were kind of on the same wavelength with that. Yeah, because
Oh yeah. And I mean, yeah, obviously, you guys didn't like move in together for the 2 years that you were working on it, but
we might now.
Next album. All right.
Yeah, shit, then what we really put out, every day, wake up, I made a beat.
Start writing. Now we fired.
I was gonna say there might be a whole series in that.
Yeah.
That's a future Jambox episode concept, but that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and get on into the next track. This one's called Phenom.
Unique, my enemies, cause I make them fond of me. Like Boo and DBZ, my energy's in the keys. Depending on how I speak, impending the hierarchy. I'm ranking up all the chiefs, this isn't about the G. It's more of morality and how we can be the kings instead of them governing.
All right, we're back. That was definitely one of the smoothest tracks on the album. Sonically, one of my favorite beats on the album for sure. Like that is just my alley right there.
Yeah.
And for sure one of the most melodic. Like I think you were really kind of in your bag for that one. But I think what stands out the most on it is that even though it's one of the like vibier tracks on the album, your delivery is definitely like one of my favorite parts of it. There's just the right amount of like steez, the right amount of swagger. The hook is catchy, but it's not like intentionally trying to just get you to like say the words, you know what I mean? Like there's the intentionality in the delivery, and I mean it just because we've already kind of touched on our individual ones, but I'm still going to ask officially at the end. This might be one of my personal favorites on the album.
What's up?
Yeah. But like I said, we'll find out which ones are officially the ones at the very end when the question comes up. But before we go get into the next question, do you have anything you'd like to share about that track?
That was the first one.
I was about to say that. That's
the very first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
First track we made together, period.
Ever.
Yeah, ever, yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not swinging.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's a really dope track. I mean that like Because I mean, originally it was. I don't even think we hadn't planned on doing a full project. It was just
we were just working.
We were just working. We did a beat, and I was like, okay, we like that. I knew at that point we need to do a full project.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did. I did, but
I remember that because I was never someone who would want to do a project.
Yeah.
It was always like, I guess,
singles
type deal, you know? So I remember I fought you back on that, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, I want to do singles, you know? But you basically convinced me, and honestly, I appreciate that, bro, because that's kind of how it happened, you know? And now we got this whole body of work.
Yeah.
But that Phenom was the very first thing that we did, and it slowly grew into one of those songs, you know? They're like, damn, this song is actually, it's like, you know?
And it's cool because for being, like I said, it's one of the probably the most catchy tracks on the album. It's like right in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, you know, with 10, you have to split it the 5 and 6 line, but it's just, I mean, perfect placement for the whole album in general, but it is just the right one to have right in that moment. And I mean, again, I'm a big fan of it. Big fan. I probably circled back to that one a couple more times than the rest of the album.
Dope.
Just because I was just like, there's something even more about this. I want to make sure it translates well. So it's cool to know that you guys have literally just been making hits from the jump. Like, the first track is a really cool piece of information to find out in real time. So that's really interesting. And actually, you guys have kind of already answered this next question, but I'm still going to pose it here just to see if there's more in it. Was there a vision or a direction at any point, or was it like really just kind of until the end you didn't know how it was going to look?
I think it was just from conversations. Like I think a lot of it, I think lyrically, I mean, this is my opinion, just we would have real conversations about our lives, about with the way we grew up, the culturally different things, the differences, the similarities, even like the differences and similarities between people from his culture that I was friends with, and you know how they grew up different but the same.
It just looked different. Same foundation, but a different look, if you will. A different house built, different blueprint.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, there was no real pathway to when we started whatever we got now, you know?
Yeah.
But I think naturally, it's inevitable. It was inevitable. It was going to happen this way. Because like I said, it didn't take much convincing, but I was against the whole concept of a body of work.
Yeah.
You know? And it's kind of cool that we're talking about this, because we're talking about Phenom, you know? The very first track we did, and it's in the album, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, honestly, that's where it's supposed to be. I don't think it was meant to be a single, you know?
No, very much so.
Yeah, because
I would have been so mad if I heard that as a single.
Yeah.
And then went, there's nothing else? Like, what are we doing here? Like, if I heard that and then went to your Spotify, like not knowing you and just looking for more and it wasn't attached to anything.
It was just that. Yeah.
I would have been sad. Like, now granted, I'm in the album majority as well. Like, you know,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
I collect vinyl.
Yeah. So like, it just like, that is where my heart lies. So like I said, if I had just heard that one, I would have been a little bummed that there was nothing else to go along with.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did this thing, bro.
Yep.
But now let's go ahead and we're going to jump to the next track. This one's called, oh wait, nope. We're going to jump ahead a little bit. This one's called Guilty Pleasure.
And we coming for a sire to replace your deities. Yeah, you're lucky with the C's, cause there's 7 ways to breathe. If you're rocking next to me, there's no way to beat the please. It's a guilty pleasure to be killing all them C's. I be taking every measure just to put you on the T. R.I.P. to all the homies, I'ma do it for the team. If there's someone there to know.
All right, and we're back. Now that track was hype. The pace was great. The guitar sample in the track, if that was a guitar, I'm not quite sure if it was or wasn't, but it just, it grabbed me. Again, I'm big on particular sounds.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure if it actually was that or not, but it had that feel. And it really locked me in. I really appreciate that because it was a different instrument sound to happen at this point in the album. And, you know, at track 8, we're pretty far into it by this point. So the introduction of new things, just, you know, on both ends, I think really has gone a long way. But I will say, I think that track is probably what I would consider the most like radio friendly track.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not so much. And again, I was saying this off camera, not so much maybe for the subject matter, because that doesn't permeate me in quite the right ways. But the track itself, I felt was structurally the most like, yes, this is the way music is kind of thing. But also for being that late in the album, it's a great boost of energy. I think, leading into the fourth quarter, again, if you don't do math, it kind of reels you back in by giving you just enough comfortability. Like it doesn't and again, it's not like you didn't phone that one in for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely still a solid track all the way around. But I feel like that was the one that if I had to say this is the one that feels the closest to a casual listen song while still being very good, it would be the one.
Word.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
To be frank, that's
I know what he's gonna say.
it's not that I dislike it, but it's my least favorite song.
It's literally he said this to me multiple times.
Yeah.
One.
And I would never go as far as to say that one felt the tiniest bit phoned in, because it definitely didn't. Like I said, you still.
But it was, bro.
But I could feel that one was put in the album because it made sense to be in.
Yeah, it did.
But I could tell that it wasn't your favorite.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was I wrote that more so knowing what I'm good at, and then which was I know I can do this rap thing, this hip hop thing, the typical the structure as far as writing bars,
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's where that comfort.
Yeah,
it just felt like a track.
Yeah, like
that was meant to exist in the realm.
Yeah, so I do like it, but there's something about I think the reason why I feel the way I do about it is because I didn't feel that fire like I did with the rest of the joints. Not to say that, like I said, not to say that it was just I'm hating this,
No.
Because I remember I finished it, I got the draft, and then I played it back. When it hit me that I didn't know if I rock with it or felt whatever way I felt about it was when I played back the draft. And I was like, what? And it was too late because I already sent the draft to Mob and John.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, we were like, well, this is dope.
Yeah, you guys were. You're like,
that's really where I think the duality for me on the track is that it is good. There's no denying that, but it did not have quite the bite. It had the energy, but it didn't have the teeth.
Yeah.
That's the rest of the album clearly, through discussion and through, example of existence. There was something in all the other ones that I think that one didn't quite have. But like I said, that's what I think made it kind of feel that more this lives in that middle ground of comfortability.
It's part of the body of work, if you will. It's a necessary part of the album. Yeah.
Now, for this next question, we've definitely already answered it, but I kind of want to put a little spin on it. Do you have a specific moment where you were like, all right, let's do the album?
For me, it was right away. It was when I heard Phenom.
Yeah.
Phenom was made. I was like, I want to do an album. That's what it was for me.
A specific moment. I don't know specific, but I think a specific feeling, yes, which was the fact that I did Phenom, I did Brown Pride, and It's a Murder. Those were the same time frame.
Yeah, all three of those.
Yeah. It's just it slapped me in the face. I was like, what am I doing? All these three joints, they're kind of, they're kind of hitting.
Quickly too.
Yeah. And then it was just kind of like, we kind of got to make it happen, It was more so a specific feeling rather than a specific time frame where I'm like, oh, this is when it happened. It was more so it built up to that. I was like, dude, these songs are hitting. And he kept telling me too, And he kept not only doing the album, but he kept dude, you're hitting these. And I said, no, we're hitting these.
I was like, oh, bro, you want to hit this? And I'm just like...
Hell yeah. No, I dig that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to jump into the second to last track. This one's called Right or Wrong.
Am I right? Am I right or am I wrong? Am I right? Am I right or am I wrong? I've been trying to hustling before I fall. I'm a fall for nothing. I won't withdraw. Someone crack my coffin and pawn it off.
All right, we're back. Now that track was a bit sneaky. That one, and I know I've said this many times before, but come back to it. The low end on that track.
Yeah, the bass, the 808.
It hit super hard. But it was the track itself was a little bit on the lax side. Now, that being said, I am curious about something. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I have to ask it. there wasn't a feature in that track, right?
No.
Okay, so that's just you changing up your delivery in the second half of the first verse.
Yep.
That was first, yeah.
Yeah, because
it
that
is.
was wild. That was wild. Like that was the part that really caught me off guard on that track. Because again, this is the 9th of 10 tracks. Like by the end, especially with the one before it being as comfortable as it was, the way you just kind of switched it up.
Yeah.
And got real, like, just grimy for a moment with that delivery. Like, that just immediately pulled me back into the track. And I was like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
It was such a cool change to happen. So like again, you would bring in something new every single track and like really bring it to your own. But that was one that like I was genuinely unprepared for.
Okay, word. Hell yeah.
I thought it was like it was welcomed. It was a really cool change. And again, to be like, this sounds so different that it could be a feature that just wasn't named, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't, because he definitely would have.
Yeah.
That I think that really did it for me. I thought that was a really interesting decision.
Yeah, that was that track was one of my favorites to write, because that one was also one of a late edition, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Mob were going through like some of the beats and stuff, and that one just kind of hit. And I think we messed with that one a little bit. We're like, oh, what if we do?
Yeah, I formatted it a little different than how I had originally made it. Yep.
And then that one, I remember going home after that session. And literally within an hour, I or an hour or two, I had a draft for.
Yeah, he emailed it within like 2 hours. Literally. Yeah, that's not an exaggeration. Like literally, like hour or two, boom, in my inbox.
And I was just like, this one right there. What do you think? Give me the feedback. Give it to me, because I knew it's also not only is that the inflection change or whatever, the delivery change or whatever on that verse. It's kind of a little bit different from the rest of the album, but that was again, that's why it's in the back end of the album, because it's like, okay, when people get to the end of it, we're gonna wake them up again, you know what I mean, with something different, not necessarily with the energy, but with something different, because it is more controlled. It's more of a.
Yeah, I mean, it's like preparing you for the next track, basically. Like it's
rubbing your back a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, the beat's kind of smooth. It's like a vibey, smooth 808. Like a bass 808 bass line that's just vibes, and then the next track is a complete,
360
from that. Yeah,
yeah. Now that track was like I said, that was an easy track to just crank out. Like everything was smooth. From the beat to just writing it, it was nice. It happened fast,
Yeah,
and a lot of it, having the right motivation is crazy. You don't go back on anything. It just spews, and then it's just there. You got it, and then sent it. He's like, oh, that's it right there, and they're like, all right, we locked in.
Hell yeah,
yeah.
I dig that. All right, now because we've only got one track left to go, I'm now going to bring this question officially to the table. What are some of your favorite tracks and why?
So for me, Pain. I really like that beat. I really like the energy of just the vibe of it. I don't know. Probably I come from a hardcore and punk background, so the fact that it's really short and it's just aggressive, and I really like Brown Pride because I like the sentiment. Like I really fuck with that track because it's like it's just. Brown specifically Brown. I mean, the first 3 tracks, honestly, like Pain, It's a Murder, and Brown Pride. Because the first one is just smacks you across the face, and the second and the third track are just him being real about his experience.
Yeah,
and I like that.
I have to agree with that same sentiment right there, because those were about. As deep as you'll get, I guess, in a sense, to me.
Yeah.
In that album, and then in the Spanish joints too, but it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
Not everybody understands that. But also, I have to add a phenom to that, just because. Also, it being the first song we did.
Yeah.
And then a lot had to do with after we went to 11 and we dialed it in the production, and then we just hearing it back, the end product.
Yeah.
Like, wow. This song hits.
Yeah.
And also the way I wrote that, because technically the hook is part of the verse, but I just decided to bring that part of the verse back around at the end, and made it a hook, you know. That's one of my favorites. But to be honest, all of them are my favorites, with the exception of Guilty Pleasure. But I like that one.
Yeah,
I like it. It's not one of my favorites though.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, if we're doing 3, I'm going to start with mine, which is a Guilty Pleasure. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, Phenom is probably my number 1 on that. And then Happy Medio. Like that actually, that one really did it. And then Pain. And it's not like most favorite, second most favorite.
Oh yeah, just your 3 favorite.
Those 3 are the ones that like really latched on to me in a lot of really cool ways.
Oh yeah.
And for like kind of the same reason, I mean, I'm not going to be the dead horse and say too much of it, but Phenom that one just grabbed me. That is a track that is just all of my boxes.
Yeah.
Happy Medio, just again, the style, like the decisions in it, the way you approached it, the way that it ended up coming out, like just everything about that track. And then Pain, for the same reason, it just poof.
Yeah.
The way it opens up the album, the second you hear it,
hell yeah,
it is the deciding factor to listen to the album.
That's dope, because hearing it coming from you is clean, because we were what's the word? We were like very precise about
methodical.
Yeah, methodical. There you go. About putting that song first.
Yeah.
Remember that conversation we had? Like, dude, it's gotta be this one.
Yep.
It's like it's the only one that
made sense to go first.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Yeah.
It's also borderline. You can feel it.
Yep.
Punch you almost. You know? You could almost feel the breeze.
Yeah.
You know? So. Yeah, you know what? I throw everything I said earlier. That's my favorite song.
Hell yeah.
My favorite song, dude.
All right, now with that being said, we've got one last track to go. Keentoh, would you like to introduce it?
Oh, baby, no hay igual.
Si me quedo aquí plantado, entonces nada va a cambiar. Lo que mira resultados de que siempre voy a ensayar. Tu rapero favorito no lo hace como yo. Tus amigos enemigos no lo hacen como yo. Tus hermanos y tus primos no lo hacen como yo. No hay nadie que lo hizo que lo hace como yo.
All right, we're back. That was a strong ending. I mean, it was a little on the short side. It's definitely dialed in. The beat was rad. I like how the second half of it created a proper outro for the album too. Like because the beginning definitely did not have an intro. You know what I mean? There was no track to lead you in. It just, you gave us like a bar and a half and then song. But like the ending of that track really gave you an out for it. And now, unfortunately, I do not know what the words were because I don't speak Spanish, but just the title translated to English, I think really sets it off in a certain way. But just really, I think you close out the album perfectly with that track.
Sí, pienso que sí. No hay nadie como yo, como lo dije en la canción. Y lo tuve que acabar así. Soy mexicano, como saben. Uno sabe, mi piel lo dice todo. Pero unas canciones, ya dije como 50 veces, es una de mis canciones favoritas. Todas mis canciones son mis favoritas. Pero otra vez, y es muy cortita también. No tiene mucho, ¿cómo se dice? Cuerpo. Pero that being said, it's still a very impactful song.
Damn. I said it better myself. You nailed it.
Yeah, dude.
Damn.
And I think actually Mob wrote the whole song in Spanish.
Yeah. Facts.
No, that song is
facts.
No, that song is clean, because again, it's tapping into that side of who I am, as far as the being Mexican and just knowing Spanish, I guess. Just Mexicans aren't the only ones that speak Spanish, so it's more of a universal relating thing, if you will.
Yeah.
So there's that. But that song, and again, the stretch they were saying, como se acabó la canción, era idea de Mob y John. Ellos querían que para el outro del álbum. That way, it's just a perfect finish. The song bleeds out for like about a minute, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and it's a fitting finish.
Yeah. No, I think it was a great way to end things. All right, now with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into my wrap up, my final thoughts, if you would. So, letting you know now, you at home, going a little long on this one. I put a lot of words in, so bear with me. We're about to get into it though. So right from the start, I was a fan. Like I said in the beginning, the second the first track hit, I was just locked in. Each track brought something really special, brought something new, and so much so that like I had to consider breaking down every track. Like I really like picking the 2 tracks that didn't make it onto here was hard. Like every single moment I was like, could we make this 25 minutes longer? But just for the sake of watchability, I did skip a couple. But that being said, I am going to have a few the outro song for this episode. So at least in a way, we're getting one back. But getting back kind of the total experience, it's such a good mix of both your sounds. And so now getting to hear the journey of how it kind of came to be is really cool, because it did not feel like some dude brought beats to a person and they just ran with them afterwards. It felt like it was kind of structured and put together, but the beats themselves, they were so tight. They were so evocative. They had hints of old, they had hints of new, and just given my knowledge of your process, I know that they were crafted with care. And then you came in and you just picked them up and ran with them. Like right where the beat stops at connecting with the listener, you filled that remaining gap. Your flow was super tight. Your delivery was one of one. And every moment you just brought something fresh and something unexpected, but like everything was comfortable at the same time. So it's not like I was like, whoa, really reached outside the box, but you were right on the edge the entire time. And this one's just for me. I'm just saying this because it's a personal thing. I really enjoyed the Dragon Ball Z references. That's just, you know, we are never far from where we come from.
Yes.
To put a ribbon on it, it's an awesome body of work. It's genuinely a no skip album, even guilty pleasures. And after multiple listens and just taking the time to really like kind of flesh it out, by the time this comes out, because again, people will have already heard it, I'm sure it'll be well received. And so I just, thank you guys for coming on here and for sharing about how you put it together.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us again.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you're giving us a space to talk about our album,
Yeah.
That's badass.
That's appreciated.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys. All right. Now, with that being said, we're going to go. I do have one last question, but let's do some official wrap ups. I'll have you guys each look at your cameras and just tell everybody how they can find you.
Keentoh, Keentoh. You can find me in all social medias. I move heavy on Instagram because I got purpose. And in all streaming platforms, you can find me Keentoh, again, Keentoh. That was 3 E's, but try it anyway.
You can find me, Mob Rule, at Mob Rule Beats on Instagram, or if you want to check out any of my previous or current bodies of work on Spotify, just type in Mob Rule, and there are 8 different beat tapes on there and multiple releases with other artists and including Explosive with Disorder.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you guys want to put on while you're on here?
I want to shout out Leafs Mendoza, aka at High Leafs on Instagram. He shot photos for promotion and for that are also on the back of the vinyl and on the album and on the CD. He was also a part of the process of hearing the songs as they were being made, and he was just as vital as anybody else that was a part of this album.
Yeah, he was. High Leaves, shouts out. Thanks for the work you put in. Thanks to Space Case.
Yep.
Thanks to Raw Records. Thanks to Mob Rule. Thanks to the team.
Shout out 11 Studios.
Shouts out 11 Studios for doing the work he did.
Yep.
And shouts out to everybody who's behind us.
Yeah, and shout out anybody who comes out to our shows and supports us, and Cops merch and all that. Yeah, just anybody who's ever supported me and continues to support me. Thank you.
That's right, baby.
Hell yeah. All right. Now, like I said, I do have one last question to go, but before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. Now, you guys are already familiar with my normal final question, and this isn't too far a cry away from it. But what is an album that you guys think inspired each of you during the making of this album?
For me, it's not an album, but it's 4 different artists. The Wino, Velvet 9, Reverie, and Gavlin.
Yeah.
All that was those are 4 artists from LA.
Yeah.
My experiences talking with him, and just I would listen to all those artists' music a lot while I was making this album.
Oh, yeah.
Very relatable. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Hanson. No.
For me, as far as I think it's more so in the just broader sense. Absol is got a huge influence as far as how I do my music, but also with this album, you know, because it's very just barring, spitting, rap, hip hop, you know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of Absol, J Rock, you know, TDE in general.
Yeah.
That's kind of, and then Earth Gang also.
Oh,
Earth Game's fire.
I like the way they structure their music. That I like to think that I picked up on a lot of their style, not their style, but the way they structure their songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say them.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, you guys. Well, with that being said, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Keentoh.
And I'm Mob Rule.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
Ya casi, ya casi. Whoa. Yeah. If it takes one shot, then I'ma have a few. It's the multitasking separating you. I've been both sides working, trying to start the rules. And the first side portions better split in two. And I dash slow motion, contradicting views. Yes, of course I know shit, emphasize my rules. Nothing more than passion, ain't no hidden truth. The more I saw shit, I understood it too.